We are 4 minutes away from the Joe Lucas, Guillermo Del Toro, Doug Chiang, Lucas Museum panel, and it is loading.
He is. I don't know how much.
Should be an interesting coverage over here. Lucas! 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 Yeah! Come on! Yeah! My bad. Guillermo! ¿Y qué hacemos?
Del Toro!
Del Toro!
GDT. You look like those people that try to start the wave at a game.
Oscar-nominated actress, Grammy and Emmy award-winning musician and producer, Queen Latifah.
As excited as I am, but feel free to make some noise for yourselves. I see you out there, you look good, my guy. We've been waiting 5 decades for this. 5 decades. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get him out here. First up, he is one of the brilliant designers who helped shape the iconic look and feel of the Star Wars universe. His concepts were instrumental in creating the worlds, the characters, and the vehicles we all love. You'll see some of his work on display in the museum. Put your hands together, the Academy Award-winning artist and production designer, Doug Chiang!
Woo! Yeah, Doug!
One of the most beloved filmmakers around the world. He's written and directed some of our favorite dark fantasies.
Tío Guillermo!
He's a visionary bringing back Frankenstein. And he's one of the museum's incredible board members. So please, give it up for 3-time Oscar winner, Guillermo Del Toro!
Tío Guillermo!
Now, few creators have impacted the last 50 years of storytelling like this man. He revolutionized filmmaking, not just through spectacle, but through a deeply human lens. His magnum opus, Star Wars, has shaped our lives for generations and taught us person can change the course of history. And the force is always within us. His imagination has lit the path for generations of fans and filmmakers alike. He's the reason we're here today. Please welcome for the first time ever at Comic-Con. Give it up for the one, the only, George Lucas.
Welcome to Comic-Con, George! Welcome to Comic-Con!
Welcome to our panel. What a city is on time? Just checking, just wanted to make sure George has that on the needs it. All right, I feel so lucky. Somebody picked me to be sitting here beside me, beside there myself. I'm just so happy to be here to support two of my closest friends, George and his wife Melody. It's such a historic moment, not just because it's George's first time at Comic-Con, not just because he brought the big guns with him, but because this is the very first time George has done a personal show and tell of the new museum. The new museum of This place, it is incredible. It's chock full of pieces that George has been collecting.
Connection, an emotional connection with the work. Not how much it costs or what celebrity did it or whatever. It's more a personal one. And I don't think there's anything that anybody else can tell you. That's art, that's not art. It doesn't work that way. If you have an emotional connection, then it's art. You know, brings you on the next thing. And it's the idea that people can tell you what art is and talk about it. I discovered just in my experience of many movies and things that, you know, other people's opinions don't mean much. You know, something is what you do and what you feel about it. And then if you see that other people react to it in a very emotional way, then you say, oh, I did my job, that was good. So when people come who say they're experts and they say, oh, that's not art, that's not this, that's tough. And I've worked with hundreds of illustrators in my writing, and they're all great, but they don't get recognized for anything. So this is sort of a temple to the people's art.
Yeah!
Temple to the people's art. You have some feelings about the art of art as well.
Well, I think the beauty of art is twofold: is to take the history and provide eloquence and emotion. And I think that when you have those two things and you realize that there is, once photography enters the picture, a lot of the art that is figurative starts to be looked frowned upon a lot more historically. And yet you realize that it is an art that captures a moment and an emotion for many, many people that is always able to express things that are not just propaganda, not just liberated from church and state. And particularly, many of the things that we have that celebrate freedom or anarchy, and embrace satanic Certainly, comics were the first ones to punch Nazis. These comics had a lot of social conscience before or at the same time the movies and so forth. And you have graffiti, you have many of the popular media forms of art that do that. They are not dominated, and the museum, what is important to me or what is reminded of, is not a man and his collection, it's a lineage of images. A lineage of images that have been spoken, and we as storytellers and visual storytellers, we have that vocabulary to see where that really came from, the etymology of that image. And when we think about that, another country said, the limit of your language is the limit of your universe. If you cannot name something, you cannot own it. The same is for politics. What is amazing about this collection, we will give you step by step how a form of expression came to the form that we are today. Because we are in a critical moment in which one of the things that invites us up here is the fact. And this is realizing a popular, vociferous, expressive, and eloquent moment in our visual past that belongs to all of us and the museum collaboration.
You compared, you compared man to rock and roll.
If you have every institution, if you look for an illustration museum, an illustration narrative on a museum, with tiny places here and there, the declaration of principle that the size, scope, and majesty of the thing we say is basically this exists as an art form, and it changes so minutely. Everybody here can argue who paints that curtain better. Simon on theory or Roger on theory, and it changes. That's how much is important. The science of the building is a temple that says this is an important thing. This is the clear. And imagine for a moment that all we had was classical music and non-melodic music, and rock and roll had never been enshrined in a proper way as an art form. This is what this is doing. This is rock and roll, and it needs to be enshrined.
I landed at LAX the other day, which is LA's airport, and you're able to actually see this temple from the sky. Unbelievable. But we'll talk about that later. I was just blown away. Doug, I would like to ask you about, because you have a very, very interesting viewpoint on how narrative art has impacted your life.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, thank you so much. And I feel so incredibly honored to be here to celebrate everyone.
Thank you, Doug!
I grew up loving comic books. That's how I felt love about it. And it's one of those things where it was surprising because growing up as a kid in Michigan, art, comic book art, magazine illustrations were kind of looked down upon. It was kind of sad. But there was a way for me to enjoy art and invited me to discover more about art. And what I love about what George and Wendy are doing in creating this museum is that it's celebrating and acknowledging and giving respect to an art form that has really, haven't been highlighted before. I think it's really time to celebrate the artists who committed their whole careers to creating this. It is really hard. And what's terrific for me is that, as a starting artist when I was young, I wanted to draw. And this being a portal into this world to discover more about it. And what's wonderful about the museum is that it describes all the variety of forms of narrative art. You have Charles Schultz's Peanuts, you have Wizard of Hay, you have heavy metal magazines, then you have Norman Rockwell, and Frank Frazetta, and Mobius. Those are all the different avenues for a kid to enjoy art and the places to come in. One of the things that I found kind of sad though was that, when I was growing up, comic book art wasn't an exhibition. It was always an image. It was kind of like, okay, Doug, you'll upload that someday. And I'm so glad I didn't.
I'm glad you did it. This is so relatable. I'm sure that so many of you in the audience can relate to using your art form as a way to just express yourself. still creating beautiful art right now today, and here showing it to one another as we speak.
The same shirt, one button down, two buttons down, roll. A card says the way you dress, the way you move, everything you use, that's some agriculture. What you favor, that has to be in your design. But the most important thing right now, and the reason why we must defend this individual expression, is because there is one of the other things that are kind of impressive is people saying you can do art with an hand. And so you can. You know, if you cannot just press a button and make it a window, because you will not know the beginning of the end of that and do that for yourself. And when people say to you that, they're saying, art is not that important, but it is. It is. And I think the way he's talking about art and narrative is not the difference between eye candy and eye protein. Eye candy is an ornament, eye protein is usually. So, and the difference is personality, knowledge, and emotion. Those are the three things that need to sit on. I'm sorry, they don't come that fucking hand.
Anything you'd like to add, George?
Dile, tío!
This museum is dedicated to the idea that stories, mythology, any kind of story, that is written to affect people and build community is extremely important to society and creating community. Art illustrates that story. And that's the right hand of building community is we need art to make it seem real. Even back in whether it's the Renaissance or the Stone Age, you'll always have a story that people believe it's mythology. It's not really true, but people believe it and bind them together with a common belief system. And common belief system is what is really important. And what we're doing here with the museum is to try to make people aware of the mythology that we live by, and at the same time, let them have an emotional experience looking at art that does tell the modern mythology. And as Doug pointed out, it's more of an exact science than people think it is. And it's a way, art, the art part of it, is a way of making it really accessible to people and make it so they believe it.
And, I thought that was a lovely story.
Well, again, one of the things that we do with is the history of illustration, because it's really about illustration and about the mythology that creates stories and the foreigners who, like in Greece, who highly respect and love everything, because the stories are so important. And these are the things we believe in. Some people believe in science, but science is an opinion. It's not real any more than stories are real. But the idea of common mythology, even today, like love and community, and all of it, we've got like 33, 40 different galleries, and those galleries all are illustrations of a particular mythology that we live with today. Whether it's love, whether it's work, whether it's, these are all not real, but it's an idea that gives us a common belief system. A common belief system, you can't build it, you can't build pyramids, you can't build palaces, you can't build airplanes, you can't do anything by yourself. most, I believe, and I think most people believe, that most families are dysfunctional. You always have somebody in there who, okay, we'll kind of live with it, but the thing about the wrongful opinion she's talking about is that it's a group of opinions called the four freedoms. One of them is the freedom from want. And what it is a opinion of mom bringing in a turkey. Everybody sitting around the table all smiling and looking at her. You know, the idea that Uncle Jim is going to run the corner, or Sally and Miller are going to get divorced, or they're having a big argument, all that is not mentioned. But what it does say is the modern mythology, not the Indians studied the elephants and saved them from starvation, because that would have gone away a long time ago. What it's really about is family. And people go to Thanksgiving, and inevitably, I don't want to do this again, you know, it's going to be fights, it's going to be this, you know, and I can do it with my dad. You know, it's all kind of, I don't know, I guess I've got to. But you have to, because that opinion tells you that family is important. It's part of what we need to keep society together. Even if it's tough. And that's a lot of the art centers around those ideas of what we believe in and how important that is to us to have a community and to be able to build off the common belief. And especially the other day because of the fact that the world is becoming a smaller place. There are a lot of different common beliefs out there. We used to be easy because they were far away and it was hard to get to them, you know, interact with that. But now, we're experiencing, in a lot of ways, the fact that there are a lot of different beliefs and a lot that aren't common. And the society cannot exist without a common belief system. And that's where illustration is vital to show you what that means in everyday life.
Granted that is brutally applied is propaganda, you know, and I think that the illustration art is not only celebrating the craft of incredible people that have designed movies and art from around, like, you know, Ron Dahl, Ralph McQuarrie, you know, Leonard Gilner, James Taranto for Raiders and so forth, but it's also celebrating an emotional thing that belongs to all of us. Myth belongs to all of us. Propaganda is controlled by a very small group. And myth unites us, propaganda divides us. So if these things are entwined that maybe it's not, but this understanding where you're not going to have to superimpose anybody's worth of value for the piece. Like George said, you don't like it, move to the next, or your one speaks to you. There is not an imposed value to this, you must like this. You know, Da Vinci said, to paint likeness is easy, to make emotion is hard. And these are all very emotional pieces, and they celebrate things that belong to all of us. One of the reasons we are all here, one of the reasons is the popular mythology in terms of comic books of any kind. I don't care if you like underground comics or edgy comics that, you know, have nothing to do with genre, or you like another piece, that we all can access those emotions. That's what it is. Don't belong to the man, they don't belong to the power, they don't belong to our parents, they belong to us. And I think this is a very thing that speaks to all of us collectively or individually. So the Psychological Museum again declares this in existence in a way that's a singularity in the world right now. It's something that can celebrate that form of art.
do you have a thought?
Yes. I think what's remarkable about George is that he needs from the heart. And this museum is him. I mean, it's a gift to sort of help celebrate this. And what I really enjoy about it, honestly, is that memory art is a way to educate kids and to sort of like validate and say it's okay to draw your fantasy, draw things from your mind, read comic books. It shouldn't be looked down on. And what's fantastic is that I think the museum, my hope is that it will inspire the next Norman Rockwell or Frankenstein.
I spent the rest of my life trying to answer that. And I come to the conclusion that I believe in God, but I have no idea what God is. And I don't think anybody does. Because that's the thing where a very, very human nature is that when you're born, the baseline is fear. And as you go through life, you're curious about things, but you're especially curious about things you don't understand, and therefore that's a threat to you. And as a result, you make up stories and you get through what? Did people start periodically? Why is what happens to the sun that's daily? It's just sunny. What happens if and back in the winter times, they said, well, it's Apollo, it's God, has a chariot, it's on fire, and when it goes over, flies over, it's all daytime. At night, it's dark. I feel better now. And it's true. It's stories that make you feel connected to other people, but it also gets rid of some of the problems you have about the fact that you have to know everything. And of course, one of the real problems we have is humans think they know everything, even though they don't know anything. They're very, take the universe. So little about what's going on that it's just, like ants. No knowledge whatsoever. Just think to do. And that's one thing that this kind of art will celebrate in a way, because we have science fiction. Science fiction is that we have made it real, but we made it real because of science fiction books and art. And so that makes people say, oh, well, we can go to the moon. And once that idea is implanted, then we sort of believe we can do it. But the real problem is that we think, oh, we can go to the moon, everything is in elements that are so huge, so fast, so impossible to understand for a human being, that you can't depend on what we know, and you can't really, you can be inspired by what we think we know. But in the end,
Guillermo, you look like you're going to get in there. What do you think?
I think the shape of the museum for me, it is slow. And what is beautiful is that we are, those are collector, I'm a collector, but I know I don't own anything. I'm holding it briefly for the next person that is going to hold it or see it. Because we are not the diamond, but we hold them, but we cherish it. That art will be longer than any of them. And on the floor of the museum is like an orchestra. It's telling you that, it's just telling you, look, this is for you. And then you're going to bring the next thing. And that continue, you can bring from the same fountain of knowledge and image and counting and power and myths and George and many others have been part of. And that continuum and that generosity is what makes a big difference of the shape it puts that. And I think it says, look, this is not to you. Carry it with you and keep moving forward. And that's what this says. It's not, this is where it ends. This is the all of all alls. And you should be you hold it for a moment, and you pass it on. And that happened to me with the fires. Came so close to my collection, I said, I'm going to start moving all the stuff out. I want to find like 3 houses full of stuff. And now the business is a lot of it they go on. Because it's beautiful to share, and that's why we are here. We are here. I said the other day, you are in this world to be a host or a guest. If you are a guest, you will never be happy. If you are a host, you will always be happy to serve. And this museum is so big on top of our, and it's an amazing, lovely also.
Well, I hate to tell you guys, but we are out of time. But I know so many questions. Are y'all pumped up for this museum now or what?